Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday morning trading session. TGIF and all that. Hold on a second here. I'm going to get you my monitor. The market's just opened up. Okay, so, oh dear, I was slacking this morning. Look at this. I forgot to put my trade manager on. I better hurry and do that. So what you're looking at here, for those of you new in the room this morning, welcome. This is the diversified trading system. And we've got the Hawk Scalper here on the top left, Falcon Swing Trader top right, Eagle Trend Trader bottom left, and the Raptor on the bottom right. The charts you see on this monitor here are the NASDAQ, and I'm also running soybeans and crude oil. Soybeans dipping a little bit today, crude oil pretty much holding steady for the most part. And the NASDAQ waffling a bit back and forth. Okay. All right, so we're just going to let the dust settle a little bit here. Let's see where the NQ has been. A little bit of a decline here in the overnight. Yesterday looked very messy also. Looks like we're in for another day like that. Let's see what the hawk looks like here. We are generating a first micro macro cross signal. I'm going to take a second push on this one because we haven't seen a test of the extreme yet. Right? It does look like prices are going to head lower, but we haven't seen this retracement phase. So I'm going to try to protect myself and take the entry below the low. I'm going to hold my stops for a little bit, just in case there is a bigger reversal here. And I could run a deeper stop still, or I could even dial down my risk amount. In fact, that might be a better idea. Let me run even a deeper stop. Can I run it up here? Oh yeah, I can. Now, if this pulls back into a macro pullback signal, I'm going to tighten the trade parameters a little bit. But right now, it looks like this is going to be the best spot to get in and try to give this trade as much wiggle room as I can until we get outside of this trading range. It's still early. It's only a few minutes into the open. This is definitely a more aggressive type trade, but we did see the NQ bolt on us yesterday out of the open. So we'll see what comes of this one. Oh, look at that. All right, sellers, where'd you go? Okay, this low still the big issue here. And we're getting a comparable signal here on the Raptor. I didn't get a chance to put a Raptor trade on yesterday, so let's see if we can do one of those. And same idea, I'm going to try to take it below the lows. No, come on, Raptor, behave. Now this green bar cell that's forming here, I could have actually rolled my stops off this one. I didn't take advantage of this move lower, but I'm definitely going to take advantage of this green bar cell. If this bar, there we go. Now I'm going to start rolling my stops a little bit more aggressively. All right, I'm going to have to do this manually. There we go. Come on, sellers. No. Okay, so now I'm going to make a note in my journal to see whether or not I should have left my stop above the high or whether I was better off taking the tighter loss, the tighter stop. What I was trying to do is I wanted to go with the bar high low. The reason being the market was rejected twice at this level and the buyers kept coming back. So you see, if they can't follow through when prices start to go down, then it's time to leave. And so far, it looks like that was the right course of action, and it looks like my deeper stop would have been hit as well. So these are the kinds of things that you want to be paying attention to when the market is showing you that there's some active selling going on, and you saw how quickly this came down, right? The sellers showed that they had some influence here, and yet they turned again at these lows. Now, I know the market's kind of running away here a little bit, not to worry, we'll get our chance, but I wanted to point out this was our first micro-macro cross signal right here, right? Very strong signal. In fact, let me try to set this up. Let's see, did we hit our profit objective? I don't think we did. So here's our first micro-macro cross signal. Let's say we set it up like that. The market comes down a little bit. Oh, and look at that, they fail. The first micro-macro cross signal, you know, is a very strong signal. This signal should not fail. So when the first micro-macro cross does fail, and you know, we took it down here, we took it below the lows, so we were already in it. But if something like the first micro-macro cross does fail, the market comes up, tries to recover, tries to get down again, it's looking like this signal is going to fail. Well, what does that tell you about the market? That tells you when you get this green bar sell, sure, you can, if you're not already in the market, you can certainly try to sell it. But your first micro-macro cross failed already. So maybe it's an early clue that the market might be going higher. So that's how strong these first micro-macro cross signals are. When they fail, you should be suspicious that you might be seeing a reversal. Now this reversal came rather quickly. Normally we would see a first micro-macro cross to the upside somewhere around here. But we didn't, not yet anyways. And we can cancel that Raptor signal. Okay, I'm just watching soybeans and crude oil. They're rather non-committal at the moment also. Although we might be getting a signal building in soybeans. If you give me a moment here, I'll put this together for you. Okay, here's soybeans on the Falcon. Working on a trend change signal to the downside. Everything is in sync. We get the opportunity to enter right here on the lows. You might even want to enter a tick below. And we have an opportunity to cover above the highs. And it looks like this is even, actually, I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm going to cover this trade even a little higher. I'm going to cover it above this swing high. So it's got an ample amount of wiggle room. So we'll see if they reject these lows, then there is a possibility that we're going to see soybeans perhaps rally. Oh, a lot of sideways action here in the NQ. They've put on the brakes pretty hard. Oh, come on now. Once again, the NASDAQ and the stock market a little bit at odds with each other. Okay, soybeans not trading lower, so I'm going to scrub that order. Crude oil very, very sideways. Let's take a look here at the hawk. Sometimes the hawk scalper is the most obvious when it comes to picking out a sideways range, and you can see a lot of yellow bars through here. Look how flat the macro line is. It's almost all gray. Our filter breaking up very badly. And yet the eagle on crude oil is giving us a possible sell signal. Going to keep an eye on this. The way it's set up is you would want to enter below the lows, right? The ATR line is right on the low of that candle. It's only a couple of ticks to take you right below the lows. Can we cover to the hard edge? No, we can't. Oh, the fun. The joys of trading crude oil. Not the best looking trade just yet. I'm going to sit on this one for a little bit. What I'm tempted to do with this is, because crude oil has been sideways for, well, almost all of Friday's session, and even it looks like through much of the overnight, is actually just let it engage the order and look for a second push entry opportunity. It might dip down here a bar or two before giving me another chance. The danger here is not so much the direction. I think it looks as though crude is still content to move a little bit lower. The danger here is hanging in long enough to realize a profit, right? You get just the tiniest little hiccup here and you're stopped out. We have very little staying power in crude oil. Well, I admit I'm a little bit surprised here in the NASDAQ that they've been able to maintain this rally. I thought, technically this is our first micro-macro cross here, but I thought for sure that was going to develop into a macro pullback. It did give us a 4-arrow consolidation, the fourth arrow kind of already a little away from the scene, but regardless, I suppose in hindsight what I should have done is set up for the first micro-macro cross and just tried to cover the trade a little bit deeper. That's what I should have done. See, so you guys aren't the only ones who miss trades. It's all par for the course. Okay, crude oil giving us an interesting opportunity here where we have, this is on our hawk now, we're getting a green bar sell, which is our possible counter-trend signal on the hawk. So we could set up for the failure of this green bar sell and try to buy the market long. And you can see if this market heads higher, it's going to try to, where our profit target is at, it's at the top end of this trading range. So quite literally a quick little hit and run on this trade. The eagle still giving us that possible sell signal. And this is far from being a high probability trade, as you can imagine. But the opportunity is there if you think you might want to take advantage of it. And I would suggest you probably want to hold your stops below these lows, as the market is sideways and it may choose to bounce around a little bit. It's unfortunate with crude. Well, given my account, I can only take one contract. It would be very tempting to leave a runner in play here because you can see here's the trend line that we shot from the other day. And there is some room to move here to the upside for crude oil. So that would be potentially a wonderful trade to take advantage of. I suspect that if crude does break to the upside, we should get a first micro-macro cross. We should get a trade on our Falcon and eventually a trade on the Eagle also. Oh, speak of first micro-macro crosses. We had one right here in the NQ. I suppose I would have, well, you could cover below that swing there. I probably would have covered below this swing here. Come on, get on up there. And by now, I would, given the way this market is, I would be getting much more aggressive with my stop. Probably rolling it at least a bar or two back, maybe even break even. Certainly no deeper than this swing right here. Oh, and there they go. They would have just hit our profit objective. So a little bit more work on that one. And now the Hawk's starting to print some yellow bars. The Falcon looking a little conflicted also. All right, here's an interesting proposition. This is, in essence, a late filter entry signal. You see that the filter or the trend line went out of sync for a single bar here. And that was because this bar tripped just probably a tick too low. If this bar finishes green, the filter should come back into sync and we will have a late filter entry signal. But now, instead, they're giving us an early trend change signal. Now, this is essentially a counter trend type trade. You'd want to cover the trade as deep as you could because, well, look, we've had some selling, right? The market broke out. The buyers stepped in right here. So we're looking for the buyers now to fold and walk away from their positions. There's probably going to be some buying here because we took the early trend change signal. The early trend change signal develops just as the trend line flips over. It's a more aggressive posture than taking the regular trend change signal, which is more like, I'm going to have to roll back here a little bit to get you one that had some decent follow through. Well, it's a little bit more like, oh, here, this is a textbook example here, where the market comes down, changes the trend line, the buyers come back, and then the market comes down again, confirming that the sellers have control of the market, right? This is your textbook trend change signal. This is the early version. What we're doing is we're basing it off of this down, up, down pattern. but because it's early, we should anticipate the proper trend change signal to develop, right? Which means this is the leg that changes the trend line color. We're going to see some buying come back here, and then the sellers are hopefully going to show their hand again and force the market lower. So what I'm looking for now is for that renewed commitment on the part of the sellers, and that will allow me to get more, aggressive with my stop strategy. Perhaps something like the bar high-low or parabolics. Something that's going to hopefully hold me into the trade a little bit longer. And while we're waiting for that, here are May soybeans giving us, again, the setup for a late filter entry. Our filter is not in sync yet, but I know from my logic counter that if this bar finishes down here on the low, it will flip the filter over. So I can enter either there at the low of this bar or below the low of all the bars, which would just be another tick. But there's an opportunity there. And crude oil falling off, so we can cancel our red bar buy that we were looking at. Right, so we were looking at possibly buying crude oil on this break above the green bar sell. Sorry, I said red bar buy. I meant green bar sell, so I'll cancel that order. And now that we've broken outside of this trading range, we can be on the lookout for another signal. And what we're looking for is we're going to be looking for this retest. Right? We're going to look for this retest. Now that the sellers have managed to break through the lows, we're going to see how strong the buyers react. And then given that reaction, we're going to see whether the sellers come back and push them down again. And that will be our cue to sell. Okay, the NQ taking, oh, there we go. I didn't even need to worry about it. NQ fell off rather sharply there. Okay, now here's something for you Raptor traders that I've been working on. And you guys can help me with this too. I've been watching the yellow bars, and I've been watching the yellow bars in relation to each other as a clue as to what might come next. So let's take a look here. Well, it's not quite as, here, this one's a little bit more obvious. So we have yellow bars here, and now we have yellow bars print higher. What's the result? Oh, a nice little rally. Oh, let me bring up the YM. I think there were a couple instances on the YM that were a little bit more obvious. So here's the Raptor now on the mini Dow. Okay, here's an instance from the overnight. So yellow bars printing a little lower, yellow bars printing a little lower still, and we generate a sell signal, and there's the result. Yellow bars printing maybe just a hair higher. Again, just a little bit higher. We generate a buy signal and a nice little rally. So like I said, something I've been working with, but it seems to be showing promise. So here's a nice example. Yellow bars. Here, let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we have yellow bars printing a little higher, printing a little higher still, printing a little higher still, and we're generating buy signals, and away we go. Here's one that did not follow through, but it's okay, we didn't generate a sell signal, but here yellow bars printing lower. I would have anticipated a sell signal to come out of this, but it didn't. The market reversed and went higher, started printing higher yellow bars. Yellow bars a little lower again, sell signal, and down it comes. You know, when they start going sideways like this, they can be a little bit difficult to interpret, but I thought it was kind of interesting all the same. See, more yellow bars printing a little lower, Here we come with a sell signal, and there's some decent follow through. So what I'm looking for here on this Raptor now, we printed a yellow bar. If we print another set of yellow bars here, which are lower, I would be more inclined to try to sell the NASDAQ, obviously. Let's see if we're getting any. Oh, here's another late filter entry on the NQ on the Falcon here. So am I going to get a second push on that one? Ideally, I would have liked to have entered right here. You know what? I'm going to see if I can catch that with a limit order. Oh no, they're going to run away. Oh, Eric, you took too much time talking, not enough time trading. So hopefully somebody was able to take advantage of that one. There's a nice little move lower in the NQ. So that would have been my day right there, I think. Oh, and a 4-arrow consolidation here in the Hawk. So a couple of outstanding opportunities here in the NASDAQ to sell it short. Yeah, Michael says it's right in the face of the hard edge here on the Eagle. I know, normally we would anticipate a little bit more of a reaction there, but we saw how quickly the market rallied. I think there's a lot of whippiness in the market today. So the hard edge not bouncing the market quite as hard as we would normally anticipate. There was a reaction here, right? So it went up, came down, broke the hard edge, and just a real quick fall off there. Looks like the Falcon was the only one, or the Falcon and the Eagle both signaled, and that would make sense because, of course, they're our faster tools. It's too bad that I didn't print another yellow bar here. I was really looking forward to testing that and taking this low signal here. Of course, you know, you can always temper the signals on your DTS charts with price action, right? We're seeing lower swing highs. We're making lower swing lows. We're generating a sell signal. It's our classic down, up, down pattern. You know, that's hard edge or not, bullish band or not. You know, there are always opportunities that present themselves if the price structure looks correct to you. Remember, price will always, always move faster than the indicators or even the way DTS sets up sometimes. The birds are fast, but sometimes if the market is a little extra fast, you can be left behind sometimes. All right, if you guys excuse me for just a moment, I am going to be right back. Okay, back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. What did I miss? Doesn't look like a whole lot. The NQ trading into this morning's low. So we'll probably anticipate a little bit of a reaction there now that prices have made a full recovery of where they started the day. See, same thing with the consolidation patterns. I was talking about price action earlier. When you get these consolidation patterns, like this one right here, you should expect it to look like a bear flag. And if it does look like a bear flag, well, then you can have more confidence in taking the signal. This is why I will take 4 arrow consolidations off of yellow bars on your hawk. I won't take it off of a yellow bar off of first micro macro cross or any other such signal, but off of a 4 arrow consolidation I will, because technically it's a sounder formation. It's a regular chart pattern. Here we only had a 3 arrow consolidation, but the principle remains the same. This is very much a bull flag in an advancing market. Now, given it is easier to see in hindsight, right? When this was unfolding, I was anticipating a much deeper retracement. I thought I was going to see prices come down here somewhere, give me a macro pullback signal, and then start to head higher. It would have been the same type of thing, or perhaps even a 4 arrow consolidation. But the point is, you can always defer to the price action. Okay, here comes crude oil, taking their time. But you see, here's that low. They're coming back. Technically, our first micro macro cross signal right here. So it has tripped the first micro macro cross. We should anticipate this market to head lower. And if it fails to reach the first profit target, well then, I should try 5 ticks, because technically that is our first profit objective. No, it doesn't look like it got it. No, a little bit short. So once again, like what we saw in the NQ this morning, if this first micro macro cross fails on crude oil, there's a very real possibility that this market will end up changing direction. So here's the opportunity. I'm going to try to gain an earlier entry based on the first micro macro cross that's already tripped. I'm going to try to cover it back here to the macro line. I don't know if I can afford it all the way above this swing high, which would be ideal. Oh, I can. Very lopsided looking trade, isn't it? But I'm looking for this reaction now on the part of the sellers to recover this market and move it lower. Again, not the friendliest looking trade, hence the deep stop. Okay, well, we're going to park that for now. The NASDAQ not really sure what to do with itself right now. Well, they're just kind of hovering almost in the middle of this huge range that they set up this morning. Okay, here comes the Raptor now working on a double pullback into the hard edge. The Eagle giving us a similar look. This is a very steep looking trend line, isn't it? Looks like a few traders are seeing what we're seeing, and they're trying to get a little bit more aggressive, pushing the market down. The Falcon already changing over on the trend line. So very tough trading at the moment. We're getting the beginnings of a green bar sell. When we get this rapid little bottoming pattern here, sometimes it's difficult to say whether or not we've had our test of the extreme already. Normally, the test of the extreme, when we test the extreme, this part here, it comes short of the low and then heads higher, right? But sometimes it will drift just a little below the low and head higher. It's a little bit more unusual, but it can happen, and that's kind of what we have right here, where we just broke the low by a tick or two. Now it's starting to reverse. So my point is, if we didn't have this little hiccup here before, if we didn't have that segment there, I would fully be expecting a test of the extreme before we get a reversal. So I would be looking for this opportunity right here. So it doesn't make it as predictable a setup as before. Technically, it's also a 4-arrow consolidation, which we know to be a fairly reliable pattern in our Hawk scalper. Okay, the crude oil trade showing some promise. Here is we got that reaction to the trend line we were looking for, right? I took an earlier entry banking on the probability that this first micro-macro cross is such a high probability signal. Now, I could already start rolling my stops above this high here to take some of the risk out of this trade. Or, if you chose, you could wait for the next reaction and then get really aggressive with your stops. So a couple of options, management options there for you. It's always tough when the market is hovering near the lows. Oh, here we go. Here was that green bar sell I was talking about. Okay, so now this is a proper test of the extreme. It does look like the market has tested the lows, might be failing. We don't know yet. If this macro line turns red, this will actually be another first micro-macro cross for us. And of course, if it doesn't, well, then we might see another rally. Just a wacky kind of day today. Crazy. Craziness. Okay, look here. This is interesting. Working on another yellow bar here on our Raptor. If this yellow bar finishes lower, well, I think I would be tempted to try the lower yellow bar signal. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Crude oil just dipped low enough to find our profit target on the hawk. Hooray for us. Now our eagle also giving us a signal here. I might wait for the second push on this one just because we've had so much activity down here. Yes, it might mean that the market will run away without me, but it's a chance I'm prepared to take rather than get in and watch them turn on their heels. And it's almost 10:30 in the east, which is a lot of times if the market has had a dominant trend is when we're going to see the reversal against the dominant trend. At least as far as the stock indices are concerned. Okay, so here I was talking about the first micro-macro cross signal. Now that everything's come back into sync, we have the same kind of situation as what we're looking at in the eagle. Oh, there they go. Come on, give me that second push now. Where are you, buyers? You're not just going to walk away? So the first micro-macro cross actually gave us a nicer looking setup because we had a little bit of room here, you see, before the lows to actually realize our profit or one of our profit targets. It would have been very handy to get in and out of that one. Now we could have the remainder of the position at break even. That's one thing that I love about the hawk, just the ability to get in and out of a trade quickly. Grab a little bit of profit, not too much stress. That's something that suits me well as a trader. But, you know, not to worry if you miss a signal, there's always another one, right? They're like buses. There's always another one coming along. We'll see if we can't get a little bit of a macro pullback here on this recent breakdown. Nope, maybe not. Oh, how did this one get past me? I guess I was watching the hawk trade too closely in crude oil. Here was a late filter entry on the Falcon in crude. See here, the filter went out of sync. Trend line did not. Very important. And, well, actually the late filter entry signal is so reliable that very often I will take it right on the hash mark. So there was a nice little opportunity as crude prices continued lower. Okay, they're putting the brakes on a little bit. That recent breakdown did not have nearly the momentum that the other one did, right? When we go back here to the Raptor, when we were looking right here and we broke the support, how quickly the market fell off. Well, look, we have the same kind of scenario here. We're breaking support. Oh, what happened to our decline? It's not to say they won't go lower or that they can't go lower. It's just that they're kind of dragging their feet now. It's like the folks that sold here are the last ones to the party. but they don't know it yet. And I wish I could say I've never been that person. I still remember, like it was yesterday, watching cotton. And this is years ago. This is like, oh my goodness, I guess about 15 years ago I was trading cotton. Not a market I would recommend, by the way. And I was watching cotton make new highs day after day after day. And I said to myself, if cotton makes a new high today, I am going to buy cotton. So sure enough, cotton made a new high. I bought it. The market spun around immediately and started heading lower. I was the guy who bought the contract high. And to make matters worse, it was on April 1st. That's right, April Fool's Day. It's almost like they had my number. So you see, I've done my share of stupid things. That one, actually, I think that was longer ago. Long time. Time flies. Wow, it's too bad crude's so expensive. It would have been nice to have a runner on in that particular trade with markets falling off quite nicely. Oh, actually, here on the Eagle also, we saw after we broke out of this channel, it came back with a sell signal. So we had opportunities across the board this morning in crude oil and all three of our birds. And in the Raptor also. Which I will show you right now. Here's the Raptor for crude oil. And the yellow bars were printing lower here, so that was a clean signal coming off of the Raptor. You could also have seen this as a double pullback, which it was. Comes out of the band, generates a sell signal, and away they go. So all four of the trading tools playing nice with crude oil today. The NASDAQ here, I think we just need to wait for them to shake themselves out somewhat. We'll adjust our trend line a little bit. It was a little bit steep there. Working on a trend change signal here on the Falcon. It was an early trend change signal. Right, the signal printed, well, you know what, this one is kind of a hybrid. We did have the push here that changed the trend line. Here we have the counter trend portion. Here are the buyers coming back. The reason I'm not as aggressive, I do think this signal will go higher. First off, let me say this. This is the type of signal where I would perhaps wait for a second push entry, which we're getting right now. Cover way down here below the lows. In fact, why don't we put this one on to illustrate the point? But it is not as desirable a signal as something with trend. I'm going to get people writing me saying, why did this signal fail? Isn't it a trend change signal? Shouldn't I be taking this signal? Yes, but you need to balance what you're seeing here relative to everything else, right? Like, look at the strong move the market has made lower. Yes, there was, a reasonably strong move higher out of the open, but we've had this really strong move to the downside. So this market is pretty much in a downtrend today. Does that mean we're not going to see any rallies? No, of course not. There's always going to be rallies. There's always going to be profit taking and so on. But you need to be careful taking counter trend trades in the face of such a strong downtrend. Right? So you need to have the hit and run type mentality if you're going to be taking this type of trade. And you can see they slipped us a tick. Now we're up against the primary support here, so we'll see how that plays out. Suncombe says we've got a green bar sell opportunity in the hawk. Well done, Suncombe. That's exactly right. So you can set that up for the failure also. Thing with these green bar sells, or the red bar buys for that matter, is that there's always going to be a first micro macro, or almost always going to be a first micro macro cross to accompany them. And this one's trying to run away on me, but well, here, we'll just set it up like that. We're already in the Falcon trade. So you can see you can always use them as an early warning. And we do know that there's typically only 2 green bar sells within a trend. So maybe that Falcon signal, when you judge it in comparison to the other tools, wasn't that bad of a signal after all. I didn't think that it was so strong when it was developing, but we'll see. Here we're getting the bigger trend change signal now. I'm trying to hold my stop to allow this market to do its little thing, do its little pivot and swing around. Our soybean trade doing not too badly. We could certainly bring this one down to break even already. We've got a little bit of wiggle room on that one. And you could just pop out with profit here also, because soybean is one of these markets that I will run a deeper profit target, because they do tend to make rather pronounced moves, but we have already hit our high probability target. And you can see that, well, it looks like soybeans might tail off and hit that bigger profit target yet. So we'll come back to that if anything interesting shows up. So here's another first micro macro cross signal. Let me get some of these things out of the way. So the first micro macro cross developed right here, and I don't think that we have hit our profit objective yet. Now remember, the first micro macro cross, first signal where everything is in sync. It's not simply the signal that fires when the trend lines cross. It's the first signal where everything is in sync. Oh, they turned just a tick before the profit objective. So what that does is, like the crude oil trade we were looking at, I know that this will tend to be a high probability trade, right? Counter trend or not, it's a high probability signal. So we'll see here in a moment if this is going to work as well as it did on crude oil. What I did on crude oil is I kept tightening my entry, knowing that the first micro-macro cross signal here had not hit its high probability target yet. So I can tell from my handy-dandy logic counter that the signal should print an entry point right there. Can I cover it below the lows? Yes, I can. And coincidentally, it is now also a macro pullback signal. Again, very tough environment to trade. Not, not nice and smooth like what we were looking at here earlier. Well, this morning's breakdown was no fun, but yeah, whenever you're trading against a dominant trend, you always need to be cautious. It's so much easier taking trades with trend. Yeah, you see, this is going to be threatening our, come on, give me that red bar buy. Come on. Oh, see, yellow bar. Give me that red bar, you stinkers. Crude oil still falling. Okay, so now we're getting that red bar buy. Come on, NQ. If these lows fail, we're going to be in trouble. Well, not on the Hawk, but here on our Falcon trade. Oh, see, and here's the Raptor with the lower yellow bars. So, oh, I didn't get a chance to get in on that one, but we'll see. Okay, so our Hawk trade pretty much off the table now. But here too, as we saw earlier in the NQ, if the first micro-macro cross signal fails, which was this one down here, look at the result, how the market moves so aggressively the other direction. So the first micro-macro cross to the upside failed. Here's one to the downside. And it's not quite complete yet. I am being a little bit more aggressive on this one, but partly in anticipation of a bigger follow-through. See, our macro line just turned over now, so the signal should print. Boy, there's a lot of support down here. Oh, well, look at our trade forecaster too. No wonder we're seeing what we're seeing here. We're currently in swing mode, and in about 8 minutes time, we're going to be moving into scalp mode. Oh, goody. Isn't that encouraging? Well, you know what? I feel like closing out all the trades because the soybean trade is just about to hit its profit objective. So once again, you could be changed to a tighter stop strategy, or you can roll. A lot of times I like to roll above some of these bars that have the wicks to them. Oh, I know what I can do. Just for, I can try to sell a limit. Here we go. Let's try that. And I'm going to go with the swing high. I'm working on this yellow bar strategy, the lower yellow bar. Oh, they're not going to reach back high enough to fill me. I thought of that too late, I think. We'll let that order rest for a moment. Okay, so you can see the problem we had here with our trying to trade counter trend. And like I said, those of you in the room don't need to email me because I've already explained it to you, but I'm going to be getting a bunch of emails saying, Eric, why didn't that work out? Well, that's why. You're trying to buy into a strong downtrending market. So don't do that. Try to use some reason. Okay, time to enable the stop strategy here. Hooray! Soybeans hit our profit target. And the NQ here plodding along. I wonder if they're going to get down to yesterday's lows, which were down around 43 even. Wouldn't that be something? Okay, you see this candle here with this tall wick on it? That might be a good one to cover. Above, if in fact this bar finishes lower, which I suspect it might. Well, parabolics are pretty aggressive too. I might switch over to the parabolics already. Parabolics and bar high low are probably the two most aggressive strategies, and they work very well at taking you out of a market that is starting to show signs of weakness. And don't forget, you always have the close button, right? So I'm only protecting $35. There's $100 in open profit. There's nothing ever wrong with just hitting that close button, close out the profit, and take the money, right? So don't ever be shy about doing that. And if the market goes, the market goes. but I have certain luxuries here in the trading room that I can show you stuff. Well, you know what, folks? I'm starting to like these yellow bar signals. I didn't pay much attention to them before. Jim, if you're in the room today, that's on you, my friend. You're the one who tuned me into these yellow bars, and I've been watching their relationship to each other, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So a good signal here out of the Raptor off of that yellow bar. Yeah, Joe says he likes the ATR also. Now I'm guessing you were running an ATR maybe here on the Falcon or something, but Joe says it kept me out of a loony long trade. Yeah, it looks like the NQ is going to make tracks here to 43 even. Wow, what a move. The ATR, you know, it's a decent filter for gauging trades also. I know Ray Burke likes to use ATR or Supertrend sometimes as a guide, you know, to help him stay on the right side of the market. Oh, the ATR stop kept Joe in the trade for a nice winner. Well done. Oh, I see what Joe was referring to. Yes, how I was saying here, you know, don't be shy about punching out with profit. And I think I punched out somewhere around here, and yet the market continued lower. You can't beat yourself up about stuff like that, right? Like as you work with your charts more and your tools more, you become more familiar with things. We had a pretty good idea here that the market might fall off to 43, which it did. But you know what? When you're starting out and you see whatever, $100 or $150 or whatever the amount is, if that amount is dear to you, take it. I always use the sidewalk analogy. If I'm walking down the street and I see a $50 bill laying on the sidewalk, will I stop and pick it up? I bet most of you would stop and pick it up. I bet most of you would stop and pick up a quarter still. So, you know, and like I said, as you get more used to your tools, as you get more used to watching the charts unfold, you're going to recognize situations where it might be worth your while to hang in a little bit longer. But even if the market does go, like I said, don't beat yourself up. It's money in the bank. And if you do have the discipline to let the stop strategy manage the trade to its completion for you, then fantastic. Those of you in the room have witnessed my my weakness in that respect. That sometimes I can't resist tweaking a trade. Adam likes to tell a story about he and I were trading in a trading room once, and I took a trade, placed my stops, my profit targets, and then I took the dog for a walk. That still floors him that I could leave the trade on and leave the room. But that's because I know what kind of trader I am. I know that I might do something silly overmanage my trade and take myself out prematurely. I've said it before, but yeah, see, Joe says he's got the same kind of tendencies. Joe says, I had to fight that earlier, the urge to tweak the trade. It's because we watch it unfold tick by tick. I've shared this story with you before, and I better make sure he's not in the room because he'll be offended if I share this story. No, he's not here this morning. I was working with a fellow, and we were doing a trade, and it was one of his first trades. So, you know, you got to take all these things into consideration. But I was amazed at, he saw the signal, and he said, well, Eric, should I take the trade? And I said, well, I can't tell you to take the trade. It's your money. But, you know, the signal is there. It's looking fairly promising. So he took the trade, and the market went a tick in his favor, and he said, oh, okay, great, everything's looking good. It goes a couple of ticks against him. Well, all of a sudden, he starts cursing under his breath and, you know, calling himself stupid and stuff, and then the tick goes, or the market goes a tick in his favor again, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, well, everything's all right, and it moves against him. And it was just such a roller coaster of emotion. Because you can't manage your trade tick by tick by tick. And like I said, you can't beat yourself up if you make a bad decision. We're doing something very difficult here. It might not seem like it. It might seem like we're playing a video game in spite of what your significant other says. We are not. You know, we're dealing with the unknown. We're trying to find high probability situations that we can take advantage of. And then we place our hard-earned money on the line, and hopefully things go in our favor. But when they don't, you can't beat up on yourself. If you are losing money trading, the first thing you should look at is, am I over trading? Dollars to donuts, I can almost guarantee you that you are over trading if you are losing money. Ooh, yeah, see, Joe says I almost clicked out at break even. Oh, that would have been horrible. Out at break even, and then the market takes a nosedive like this. Yeah, that would be a little bit painful. Can't say I haven't done it myself. Get stopped at break even, and only to watch the market go into a tailspin or take off like a rocket ship. Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of profit taking going on now. Things have slowed. You see our hawk is flattened out somewhat. Oh, and look at this. We nailed the secondary support line on the number, and now we're starting to do a little bit of a reversal here. Wow, I'm surprised it fell 1, 2, 3 zones off of that primary support line. That is one fast-moving market. Hmm. Yeah, like Joe says, a few hundreds of dollars passed on. It's, you know what, it's okay. It happens. So long as you take something out of the trade. I'm really pleased though with the way the Raptor signal turned out. I'm ecstatic almost. Yeah, it's unfortunate we were working on a yellow bar here. It's unfortunate we didn't get one. Would have been all over selling that. This one would have been more difficult to capture here. The three yellow bars. About the only clue you had that it would rally was the higher swing lows. Maybe this yellow bar here suggested it would go higher, but that's kind of reading stuff into it after the fact. When this was printing the way it did, it would make me suspicious about taking a short, right? Because the yellow bars are starting to print higher. So the short did reach the profit objective. That would have worked out just fine. And we print yellow bar, more yellow bars, but we're failing to head lower. So that's about the only clue you had that this blue buy signal would actually go anywhere. But look at where we've come from today. My goodness, what a sell-off. Closed out of my NASDAQ trade yesterday. Makes me wish I had held on a little bit longer. Oh well. Soybeans giving us a little bit of a reaction to our profit target. Here's soybeans on the Falcon. So we sold them here, took profit down here on the secondary support line. And actually that was a 3-zone bounce also off of the primary support. Interesting. Now they're starting to recover a little bit. So there we go. It looks like soybeans are leading the NASDAQ. I'm not serious. In case anybody only heard half of that, they're going to start pulling up soybean charts. Eric says soybeans lead the NASDAQ market. I'm starting to wonder whether that was the move of the day. We are getting a little bit closer toward the lunch hour. It is Friday the 13th, no less. I would not be surprised to see some profit taking going on here. Oh, this is dangerous. We're getting a late filter entry signal here on the NQ, which we know to be a strong signal. What's that going to cost me to be wrong? I know the trend is down. I know all this. It's just what's giving me pause is has the market momentum shifted into profit-taking mode? I would dearly like to see this become a green bar. There we go. Now I have an excuse to scrub the order. So we're getting an early trend change signal. This one looking a little bit more inviting than the other one, but it's the same kind of situation where it is a counter trend signal, right? Signal is printing right here. There's the high, there's the low. That's, if you're going to entice trading counter trend, this is how you have to set it up. And look at where we are, 43. Yesterday's lows, 4,300. That's what the market is banging its head against. Or you can wait for the proper trend change signal. It's unlikely this market will bolt to the upside without producing a proper trend change signal. And once again, this is counter trend. It's not the most enticing of signals. I think we will see a little bit of a hop here to the upside, but you know, your best opportunities are always going to be with trend. We'll give that a few minutes to see if it actually trips. Otherwise, we will close up the room, call it a week. See if I can get a tea time later today. It's a nice day out here in the Pacific Northwest, even though it is clouding over somewhat. It's supposed to get perhaps a little bit of rain over the weekend. Oh, goody, just in time for the weekend. There's a local joke. What do you call it after 2 days of rain on Vancouver Island? Monday. Well, it doesn't rain as much here as it does in some places. I saw a documentary about, I think it was Forks, Washington. They were talking about different communities in Washington State. And Forks is right out on the Pacific Ocean. And their joke there is you can tell the tourists because they're the ones carrying the umbrellas. The locals don't even bother. Okay, come on, break that high. Break that high, and I think we're going to see a little bit of a flurry. Not too much, but maybe just a little hiccup. Oh, caught a positive slip on that. We got filled at a tick better than what we intended. That's odd. That doesn't usually happen. Come on, get up there now. be patient with it because we're working into the proper trend change signal now. This was the early trend change signal, the one that occurs just as the trend line changes color, but we did have the higher swing low, our up down up pattern. Come on, get up there. There we go. Whew, this is hard work. Get up there. Well, crude oil putting in a little bit of a rally. I think there's some profit taking going on there also. Soybeans signaling another sell signal, but I'm not sure how much they have left in them. So unless you want to hold a soybean contract over the weekend, you probably don't want to take that trade. Just curious where the trend line is falling on this one. So I was guessing 43.10. Yeah, maybe 43.08. Maybe. If this bar finishes green, I think I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with my stop. I know we were just talking about not doing that, but it will have a little bit of a tail to it. This one has a tail to it also. I could certainly roll it below that one, which I believe is where my bar high low would be at. So I was hoping we would hit the profit objective before we got into the swing portion here, but no luck. So now we got to try to ride out this swing, get our proper buy signal, which hopefully come back here somewhere, engage, and then eventually trade up to our profit target. Once I see where this market where the buyers are coming back into this market, then I'm going to get more aggressive with my stops. I'd certainly expect to see something occur near here. And if the buyers react here, we'll actually get a late filter entry to the buy side, which will be very encouraging. All right, so I'll watch that one. Hopefully that'll follow through shortly. And in the meantime, unless anybody has any questions, we're going to button up the trading room. And we will see you guys again next week. All right, so we'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend. I'm certainly looking forward to mine. We'll talk to you later. Bye.